Hey, so I'm going to talk about insomnia today. Sleeping, or not sleeping, which is what insomnia is. I had really horrible insomnia pretty much most of the time that I was in energy deficit, most of the time that I was underweight, and it was horrific. I actually was hospitalized for insomnia. I know that sounds crazy. That's how bad my insomnia was. That I was in Edinburgh at the time, and I hadn't slept for so long that doctor admitted me to hospital, and I had to sleep with all these like things attached to my head. Although obviously I didn't sleep, but I was supposed to sleep. Or they were putting the things on my head. I forget what they're called. Those things. They're just like, you see them in the films. They like attach all these wire things to your head. I had to try and sleep in a hospital, and the things that were attached to my head were supposed to try and work out why I wasn't sleeping. And well, nothing really worked. They even started trialing new insomnia drugs on me, and at the time I was like, well, I'm not sleeping anyway, so I may as well make some money. None of those worked. Do you know what, to me now, looking back, is just incredible, is that never once, all of the doctors I saw for insomnia, even in the hospital, never once did somebody look at me, and I was obviously underweight at that point. Although that you don't have to be obviously underweight to have anorexia, but I pretty obviously had anorexia. Nobody once mentioned that insomnia could be caused by malnutrition. I don't even think that that's properly recognised still, despite the fact that I work with hundreds of adults with eating disorders, and many people either have insomnia when they're restricting, or they have insomnia as they're coming out of restriction. And no one ever put that together with me presenting as this very underweight individual who didn't eat enough food and exercised excessively. No one sort of linked that up as to why my body might think that sleep was not the most important thing on the agenda. And now, to me, you just look at that from a biological perspective. Of course that makes sense. My body was hungry. Sleep was second place to finding food and eating food. My body thought I needed to migrate and get the hell to where the food was. I'm not going to do that very well if I spend all that time sleeping now, am I? And so remember, food, water, oxygen, 3 things the human body cannot survive without. If your body thinks that one of those things is in a precarious situation, it's going to focus on that thing, and it's going to prioritize getting that thing. And my body was prioritizing getting food, finding food, over sleep. Of course, when I was restricting, I didn't see it that way. And I would lie there awake at night thinking about food, and I would not let myself get up and eat. But when I went into recovery and I started to just think, well, fuck that shit, I'm not doing it anymore. If I was lying awake at night, I would get up and make myself eat food. But that actually made the insomnia more tolerable, being able to eat if I couldn't sleep. I really was quite happy with that situation once I'd finally got my head around allowing myself to eat without restriction. Now, not everybody is like me. Shock, horror. We're all different. I've worked with plenty of people who have slept really well when they're restricting heavily. And I think that some of that might be that your brain is like, well, there's not any food around, so what's the point in trying to keep her awake to eat, or him awake to eat? But then when they've started and they've gone into recovery and they have actually started eating more, their brain goes like, yes, there's food around. We don't have time to sleep. Sleep? Are you kidding? No way. You're going to stay awake all night and eat food because I need food. That's kind of what your body's saying. So many people actually go into that insomnia. In fact, I think it's more often the case, from what I've observed, that people sleep relatively well when they're restricting, but then when they go into recovery, they start to get insomnia because your brain is waking up. Your brain and body are waking up, and it's damn hungry, and it just wants you to stay awake and eat. And then most people find that if they persevere, they allow themselves to eat without restriction, and they allow their bodies to nutritionally rehabilitate, then after a while they start to sleep a lot better. And I've been sleeping like a baby after having years and years and years of chronic insomnia. Guess what? Nutritional rehabilitation, never had a bad night's sleep since. I mean, I might sometimes have a night where I can't get off to sleep. Like, I'm talking twice a year. But I still actually always get off to sleep and then have a great night's sleep. I sleep so well. It's amazing. And from someone who had chronic, horrific insomnia for years and years and years, that's just actually, you know what? Just take away everything else. The ability to go to sleep at night and have a great night's sleep alone is worth recovery. That alone is worth it. Promise.